After 56 years of pure automotive passion, Nissan just walked into the Tokyo Auto Salon and dropped something nobody saw coming, a refreshed Z that finally gives enthusiasts what they've been screaming for since day one. Hey, this is Mark, and you're welcome to AUTOSAYS. Now, before we dive into why this matters more than you think, smash that like button and subscribe, because what Nissan just pulled off is about to shake up the entire sports car game, and you don't want to miss a single detail. So here's the thing. The Z has been with us since 1969, back when a sports car meant you either emptied your bank account for a European exotic or you bought Japanese. And the original 240Z sold over 520,000 units, proving you could have beauty, speed, and reliability without selling a kidney. Fast forward through 7 generations and 1.7 million sales later, and we're looking at the 2027 refresh that just debuted. And while some people might think it's just another facelift, what's hiding beneath the surface tells a completely different story. The front end got a total redesign. Gone is that massive polarizing grille that people either loved or absolutely hated, replaced with a sleek two-piece setup that screams classic 240Z vibes, with slim horizontal slats up top and a larger opening below, separated by a body-colored bar that doesn't just look good, it actually works, cutting front lift by 3.3% and drag by 1%, which means this isn't just about aesthetics, it's about making the car genuinely better. They threw on redesigned 19-inch 10-spoke wheels in black, added a stunning Unryu Green paint option inspired by the original Grand Prix green from the S30, and here is where things get interesting. They deleted the rear lip spoiler entirely, keeping the body otherwise unchanged, but giving it this cleaner, more purposeful stance that connects directly to the Z's heritage without looking like it's trying too hard. But wait, because what's under the skin is where Nissan really showed they were paying attention. The entire range gets new monotube shock absorbers with larger diameter pistons, which translates to improved ride quality and sharper response in the corners, making this Z not just faster on paper, but actually more enjoyable to drive every single day. The 3.0-liter twin-turbo VR30 DDTT V6 still pumps out 400 horses in standard trim and 420 in the Nismo spec, sending all that power to the rear wheels where it belongs. And speaking of the Nismo, this is where things get absolutely wild. For the first time ever, the Z Nismo comes with a 6-speed manual transmission. Let that sink in for a second. The most hardcore version of Nissan's flagship sports car finally lets you row your own gears, paired with retuned ECU mapping, revised ignition timing, sharper throttle response, Nismo-specific suspension tuning, and brakes derived directly from the legendary R35 GT-R, which means you're getting stopping power that was engineered to handle a 600-plus horsepower supercar. Now here's the financial reality that makes this even more compelling. While the current Z starts around $45,000 in the US market, Nissan is positioning this refresh to maintain that accessible performance ethos that made the original 240Z a phenomenon. And when you stack it against competitors like the Toyota GR Supra that starts north of $55,000, or the Corvette that's pushing $70,000, the Z becomes this incredible value proposition that doesn't sacrifice soul for savings. The Tokyo debut happened at the 2026 Auto Salon, and while Nissan hasn't locked down US specs yet, expect this to roll into American dealerships later in 2026 as a 2027 model year vehicle, hitting Japan first during summer 2026 before making the jump across the Pacific. Inside, they kept changes minimal but meaningful. A new tan leather option joins the lineup, replacing those bolder red and blue themes with something more refined and grown up, transforming the cabin from aggressive tuner aesthetic to genuine grand touring space that you'd actually want to spend hours in on a long weekend drive. The Nismo misses out on some of the standard model's visual updates since it already wore a different front fascia, but it gets its own subtle refinements that maintain its track-focused identity while benefiting from all those mechanical upgrades. What Nissan is really doing here goes deeper than sheet metal and suspension tuning. They're making a statement in an automotive landscape obsessed with electrification and autonomy, doubling down on analog pleasure and mechanical engagement at a time when most manufacturers are sprinting towards software-defined vehicles and autonomous driving systems. This isn't about resisting progress, it's about recognizing that progress doesn't move in only one direction. And for the 25 to 65 demographic watching this right now, the ones who grew up with Z cars on posters and in video games and in their neighbors' driveways, this refresh represents something bigger than transportation. It's a bridge connecting 56 years of heritage with a generation that experiences driving as both physical and digital, as both road and simulation. The Z has always been more than just a product. It's operated as a symbol of accessible performance, of Japanese design philosophy, of a particular relationship between driver and machine that doesn't require a trust fund or a racing license to experience. From the original 240Z that democratized sports car ownership in the 70s, through the 370Z that held the line for over a decade, the nameplate accumulated cultural weight that lives in tuning shops, drift events, automotive journalism, and personal memory banks of people who fell in love with cars before they ever sat behind the wheel. This 2027 refresh acknowledges all that emotional baggage in the best possible way by refining rather than reinventing, polishing edges rather than starting over, realigning the Z with its original spirit while meeting contemporary expectations for dynamics and refinement. Against rivals like the Supra and the BRZ, the refreshed Z positions itself as the most emotionally legible option on the market, the one that doesn't hide its heritage or disguise its mechanics, but celebrates them openly. And while it might not be the sharpest tool or the most efficient or the most technologically advanced, it becomes the most self-aware sports car you can buy, the one that knows exactly what it is and refuses to apologize for it. The manual Nismo doesn't exist because it makes sense on a spreadsheet or because market research demanded it. It exists because there's still a subset of enthusiasts who don't want automation, even when automation is faster and easier and more efficient. People who understand that driving isn't just about getting from point A to point B or posting lap times. It's about the conversation between human and machine, about weight and vibration and sound and resistance, about participation instead of observation. Nissan could have played it safe, could have followed the industry trend towards paddle shifters and dual-clutch transmissions and electric motors, but instead, they looked at their history, looked at their audience, and made the choice to honor both by offering something increasingly rare in the modern automotive landscape, a twin-turbo V6 sports coupe with a manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, and a price tag that won't require a second mortgage. So here's what this all means for you. If you've been waiting for the right moment to jump into Z ownership, if you've been on the fence about whether Nissan still cares about enthusiasts, if you've wondered whether analog sports cars have a future in a digital world, this 2027 refresh is your answer, arriving later this year with heritage styling, improved dynamics, GT-R brakes, and that 6-speed manual that proves some things are worth preserving, not because they're efficient, but because they're essential. The Z isn't trying to be the future of sports cars. It's asserting that the past and present can coexist, that progress and tradition aren't mutually exclusive, that you can honor 56 years of heritage while building something genuinely better for today. And that right there, that philosophy, that commitment to driver engagement in an era of increasing automation, that's why this refresh matters more than any spec sheet can capture, why it represents not just an updated model, but a statement of values from a manufacturer that could have taken the easy route, but chose the meaningful one instead. Now, if that doesn't get you excited about the future of affordable performance, I don't know what will. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Drop a comment telling me whether you'd spec your Z Nismo with the manual or the auto, and I'll catch you in the next one where we're diving deep into what this means for the used Z market and whether now is the time to pull the trigger on a 370 or wait for these 2027s to hit lots.